Greetings, fellow action figure connoisseurs, and welcome to another episode of Digital Caveman Presents Mythic Legions. I, as always, am your host, the Digital Caveman, and today I will be presenting you with the Four Horsemen Studios Mythic Legions War of the Aetherblades Wave 2-pack of Attila Leoysser 2 and Gorgo Aetherblade 2. Let's get into it! Let's start things off with a look at the packaging. And here on the top, we've got that Four Horsemen's logo, and it's Forge Founder, and then there's the whole Four Horsemen logo there, and you know, the other Four Horsemen logo, I guess, one like this. And I don't know what Forge Founder is, but some nice painted looking stuff there on the top. I'm not sure what it is yet. Maybe it's bodily fluids that keep you alive. I don't know. Oh, it's fire from the sky. So here we have a nice big window showcasing most of both figures and accessories. And it says Mythic Legions War of the Aetherblade and Attila Leoysser 2 and Gorgo Aetherblade 2. And it's got 2s on here because if you don't know, these are the second versions that they've done of these characters. I don't know if originally they were in a 2-pack. I don't think so, but I don't know. So here on the bottom, we have small fine legalese print where you can find stuff, a barcode, the Four Horsemen's logo for Mythic Legions, and warning, don't stick things in your pie hole that do not belong there. Don't give it to babies. See the entire collection at mythiclegions.com. And then on this side again, Four Horsemen, where you can find stuff and lovely, lovely artwork. And then here we have the factions of both characters. Attila's faction is this. Well, you can tell because of all the line stuff he's decked out in. And then Gorgo's is this one. Then on this side, some more of that nice artwork. Castle just getting demolished. And then here is some story. If you want to read that, pause it right here. And then I'll move it up so you can read the rest of it. You pause it right here. And there's that. Then here on the back, War of the Aetherblade. We've got some nice practical photography of other stuff from the line. And then Mythic Legions Tactics. And then there's some nice practical photography of each figure and their stories. The Four Horsemen logo down there under it. If you want to read about these guys, pause it right here. Alright. And then down here, small fine legalese and all that good stuff. That, my friends, is a look at the packaging. Let's take a look at the figures and their accessories. So first up, let's take a look at Attila Leoysser's. Leoyssers, I guess. I'm not 100% sure how to pronounce it. But we have Attila Leoysser 2 and Gorgo Aetherblade 2. So we'll take a look at Attila's armaments first. And first up, we do have his shield, which of course is a big old lion's head because this whole character is themed around the god character who is the lion. I can't remember his name. Leoysser maybe. So nice gold in there, and seems to have a bit of a wash too. and nice colors on the shield behind it. This of course is a separate piece. I think it's glued in there so it doesn't come apart, but here you can see where it's stuck in, and then it also comes with a handle for it, and it goes on that little post there. So, and it can go, and you can turn it different ways in order to have him holding it in different positions. Next up, he has this little sword belt, which generally I think goes around the torso this way, over the shoulders. And, well, I guess we need to take a look at it. I mean, I have looked at pieces similar to this on other Mythic Legions figures, but it's basically just a little plastic piece that's, made up. It's got some nice sculpted detail in it to give it a kind of a leathery look. Next up, he does have this golden scabbard and this sword, which does have golden handle and handguard, and then it's got some nice silver for the blade, and there is some scraping that goes on when you put it in to the scabbard because it is plastic, but you can see nice golds for the scabbard, silver at each end, and then nice molded details on the sword, gold, and then it's got a paint app for the leather grip parts. And it's not a super tight fit, but it's tight enough that it stays in there due to friction. And then there's a little clip on it there. Next we have his shoulder armor pauldrons. I'm not sure exactly what they are. So that one has a very rough R in it, like it goes to the right side, and there's a post on it right there where it plugs into his back, and there's this little clip right here, this round piece, and his cape does clip on that, so that's pretty cool. And again, it's gold with a nice wash on it to help the details stand out and kind of give it a bit of an aged look, and then some down here as well. And you can see it's kind of like leather straps, very Roman looking, at least to me. And then here's the shoulder pad for the other side, which is basically the same thing, just in reverse. Again, nice molded details, nice wash, and nice details here at the bottom. Nice silvers for those rivets there. So, very, very cool looking piece. Very lion based. Then next up, and I'm assuming this piece is some type of mystical weapon that dates back to this beast god, who was one of the good guys who vanquished the 4 demon gods. But again, it's nice gold throughout the thing, and then just wash everywhere to help the details stand out. And you've got this paint app up here, and just a very fantastical piece. I certainly would hate to be on the receiving end of this thing. Then he also has a cape, and it's cloth goods, it's wired, and we'll get to how that works momentarily. You can see it's got these straps right here, and that's how it works on the shoulder armor bits. And then his final 2 pieces, he has a swappable faceplate for the head that's currently on the figure, And then he also has a completely swappable head where he is unhelmeted. And let's take a look at this real quick. You can see nice bright eyes in there. He's got some scars on the side of his face. You know, he shaved down this part of his hair. Very, very warrior-esque. He's got a little bit of a beard going on there. You know, he's kind of weathered around the eyes and the forehead. And overall, just doesn't seem to be a very happy dude. Of course, fighting the forces of evil all the time can take its toll on you. And again, some of those same features I talked about on that, you know, go to this face. Only this one is kind of, he's smiling a bit. And I think he's more frowny like this on the faceplate that's on there. But nice paint for the eyes, the eyebrows, the scars here. A little bit there for the beard. And the face still looks a little bit weathered, wrinkles. Or there should be on the brow of a king who worries a lot. And we'll get to some of how his stuff works in a minute. First, we're going to take a look at Gorgo's assortment of items. And first up, there is his shield, which is the Aether, one of the 4 horsemen that he serves, I guess. Although I don't think in the universe they call them the 4 horsemen. But this guy would be the horseman of war. And this guy is his, like, supreme general in charge when he's not around. So, but very nice sculpt on this. And it's all like this black kind of charcoaly plastic. And then the shield's got the nice silver around it. And these rivets have some paint. And then the color of the base for the shield. And so, very cool, very detailed, ornate piece there on the front of the shield. And of course, it's got this handle with the port. And it goes right on this post here. And just like Attila's, you know, it's movable so that you can put it where he's holding it different ways, I suppose. Then next up, he has this big old axe. Battle axe. And it's mainly silver. It's got these black accents on it. And then it's got these red accents on it as well. And if I got, you know, if it's not red, I apologize because I am colorblind. Don't make fun of handicapped people because that's not nice. So, but overall, it's very cool looking. And these parts really stand out against the silver. And I guess the black stands out too, but it's definitely a two-handed type of weapon, and it looks very heavy. It's not, you know, really, but because it's not made out of metal, of course, duh. But you know, it's a very nice piece, and looks like something a bad guy would use. Although, seems like the bad guy stuff might be weathered up a little more. Then he also has an extra belt, you know, where you can put stuff in there. And again, I think this is one that goes over the shoulder. Doesn't really work too well with these characters that have the big shoulder armors, but he comes with it anyway. Then next up, he has these set of antlers, and they attach to his helmet, and I'll look at that in a minute. But basically, these are the same thing, just kind of opposite. Well, they are a little bit different, but not supremely different. And you know, it does have a little bit of nice molded details on it, especially down here toward the base. And it's got a little bit of a wash, it looks like, to kind of help some of the details stand out. And then we have his shoulder armors. And there's the post that plugs into the back. And we've got some nice golds in there with the blacks and the reds, it looks like, at least to me. And then, you know, these rivet pieces. Just very, very cool looking. Is that some kind of evil eye? I see you. Okay. And then here's the opposite piece to it, and pretty much the details are the same. So that is cool looking. And then here is his mystical weapon. This is the Aetherblade. At least I believe that it is. And you can see, I mean, look at the pommel there. And then it's got this paint app for straps with the little buttons on it. There's a little bit of paint bleed there. And then a little bit of red here for the visor. And some gold up here. Is that eyes? I know that's not what I'm talking about. Right there. So, I don't know. Got a little gold on here. And kind of a very dark gunmetal glittery color for the blade. So, very neat looking. Looks like a bad guy's weapon, for sure. And then here we have his cape, which it does have these buttons up here, or buttons. It does have these loops here, and then these loops as well, which I do believe go under his arms, or maybe the shoulder pieces pinned through here. I'm not 100% sure, because I hadn't really gotten that far with it yet. And in this review, I may not. I don't know. So, there's that. Now, will I show them all gussied up? Yes, I will. So, let's move Attila out of the way for just a minute. And we'll take a look at Gorgo. Raise the camera up. And you see those big ports on the side of his helmet. That's where the horns go. We'll get those on there in a minute. But golds, reds, blacks, all throughout. And, you know, this piece, of course, is, you can pop the head off, and this piece will remove. And just highly detailed armor, like most armored figures that we get in this line. And, you know, these get reused a bit with some different paint apps put on them, and it does give them a different look. But yeah, the gold and the red highlights throughout all this black armor is very striking. We've got some chainmail showing here, and all these rivets on the back side. Of course, we've got this port here, and then we have these two, which is where the shoulder armor goes on. And oh, he's got these little hooks. That might be where the cape hooks. It might go under his arm and hook there as well. So that's kind of cool. And as far as these antler pieces go on, they just kind of plug in the sides there. And that's how that looks. Let's take a look at his articulation real quick. He doesn't really look up much. He can look down that far. No chicken neck really. He does have some waggle. He can do the full exorcist if you don't mind his helmet parts coming off. But if they do, you just pop them back in there. So, at the shoulder, no butterfly. 360 degrees worth of rotation. and he can raise his arm up slightly under 90 degrees, it appears. Single hinge and swivel at the elbow, swivels around 360 degrees and gives you approximately that much bend, so not 90 degrees. The armor piece here swivels with the wrist, so 360 degrees of rotation there. In and out hinge, and in and out hinge on the other side as well. So there's that. There's a ball joint at the waist, gives him all kinds of hula, spins around 360 degrees, leans left and right. He can lean back that far, he can lean forward that far. At the hips, he gives you the full splits, and these don't really hinder the articulation any. He can kick forward that far and no hindrance from this piece, and then back that far, so that's really good. So here where the thigh plugs into this armor piece, there is a swivel, swivels around 360 degrees, and then at the knee he gives you that much bend, which might be a little better than 90, and then it's on a swivel as well. And then at the ankle he tilts down that far, tilts up that far, and forward facing pin for rocker. I will set him out of the way for just a minute. We'll go back to Mr. Leoysser, King Leoysser, Leader Leoysser, head of the army anyway. So, nice helmet, and it does have some wash in it to help the details stand out. Look at those eyes, just gold with a little bit of black around them, just peering out. And that nose, it definitely looks like that lion is eating this dude's head. So there is that. And as far as the facial features go, they're pretty much what we talked about before. We've got paint for the eyebrows, the eyes, nice bright eyes as well. A little bit for his beard, a little bit for his scars. And it's a very striking looking dude, you know, all armored up and such. And you know, he's got these blue and red highlights to his gold armor, and they are all over the place. A little bit of chainmail showing through here and here, probably at the thighs as well, yes. And then there's a wash on it, not all over it, it doesn't look like, maybe just in some places. But very striking dude. You can definitely see this dude on the battlefield, no doubt. And then look at all the little rivets painted in on the belt, the buckle painted in on the belt. And of course this is a sword belt because it's got the straps here to hold the sword. And then, you know, it's kind of tied off there. And I mentioned the buckle, and like under that there's just all kinds of painted detail. And I think that, you know, this line does good in sculpts, but I think where it really, really excels is in the deco. And, you know, these highlights here continue on down here. A little bit of chainmail showing at the thigh, if I didn't say that earlier. And then some of the rivets are silver. Just very, very cool. And then of course this soft goods, the loincloth piece is wired, so it does have some posability to it. Let's talk about, let's stick it out there. Let's talk about his articulation. So he doesn't really look up because of the helmet. He can look down that far. He's got a little bit of chicken neck. He's got some waggle. He can do the full exorcist at the shoulder, 360 degrees of rotation, and he can raise his arm up that high, just below 90 degrees it looks like. Single hinge and swivel at the elbow, swivels around 360 degrees, and gives you about that much bend, approximately. The gauntlet and the hand are two separate pieces, but they both swivel around 360 degrees. The hand doesn't really do it fully independently of the gauntlet piece, but it does have some movement on its own. So in and out hinge there, and in and out hinge on the other hand as well. Ball joint at the waist gives him all kinds of hula. He can lean left and right. He can lean back about that far. He can lean forward about that far. And 360 degrees of rotation there as well. At the hips, he can give you the full splits, so that's good for an armored dude. Both of these guys in the hips, so he can kick forward that far, which is it's close to 90 degrees. It's not quite. And then back that far again, kind of where the thigh and the armor meet. This part is part of the upper hip, and then this part is the thigh. And it does it? Yes, it does. Rotates 360 degrees right there. Single hinge and swivel at the knee. Knee swivels around 360 degrees and gives you that much bend. And then at the ankle, tilts down that far, tilts up that far, and forward facing pin for rocker. Now, I will say probably not my favorite thing to do with this set is change out Attila's faceplate, because it does take a minute. You kind of have to work on this helmet a bit, and that's what it looks like on the inside. And then as far as the faceplate goes, you can see how all that's shaped there in these two pieces to kind of hold the helmet on. So then the faceplate just slides off, and you notice it's got these indents right there and these tabs right here. And then you just pop the new face on and put the helmet back on. But I kind of like that one on him, so I'll put that back on. So then the helmet just snaps right back on there. Now, for the head, you can see it's kind of, you know, the neck piece is kind of coming up already, where I was fiddling with it. So the neck and the head, that all comes out in one piece, and then you just port that one in if you don't want him having a helmet. And the head will come off, and you can see it's just, you know, like a standard ball joint. Yeah, his hair's kind of sharp. What kind of product do you use there, buddy? And then that one just snaps right back on. Alright, and I didn't talk about his stuff. He's got these ports in the back. These two are for the shoulder armor, or, you know, other things can plug in there too. And then this one also is for other things to plug into. Alright, we'll be back momentarily, get them all fixed up. Here are the hero and villain all decked out, armored up. Of course, you know, when they're using these two-handed weapons, of course, they can't really use their shields. And Gorgo doesn't have the Aetherblade. But still, very striking leaders of each of their factions. And, you know, they're kind of fancy looking, because I would imagine that these two kind of, quote-unquote, diplomatically deal with each other at some points to, well, Gorgo, your people are attacking my people. Gorgo, oh, that's such a shame. I didn't know that was going on because I'm evil and don't care. But, you know, whatever the case may be, it seems like these two have a pretty good knowledge of each other, whether it's because they meet on the battlefield quite often or within diplomatic channels. Often they're dealing with each other, you know, and it could be a little bit of both or a lot of both. And so, you know, but here they are all decked out, and of course now Attila has slain Gorgo. Not really, he just fell over. So there you have it, my friends. There's a look at the figures and their accessories. It's time for my favorite part of a review, comparisons. And here we have a whole turntable full of the Four Horsemen Studios Mythic Legions line, starting in the front with the 2-pack of Attila Leoysser 2, Gorgo Aetherblade 2, Gold Knight Legion Builder 2, Dark Templar Legion Builder, and the PowerCon exclusive Standard Edition Demistros. Here we have the Four Horsemen Studios Mythic Legions War of the Aetherblade Waves 2-pack of Attila Leoysser 2 and Gorgo Aetherblade 2, with the Animal Warriors of the Kingdom Onyx, the Epic Hacks Barbarian Deathmonger, Savage Crucibles Lemurian Royal Guard, Operation Monster Forces Primal Kilowog, and Combatants Fight for Glory Fails. For our last set of comparisons, here we have the Four Horsemen Studios Mythic Legions War of the Aetherblades Wave 2-pack of Attila Leoysser 2 and Gorgo Aetherblade 2, with from the Marvel Legends series making his cameo appearance Stan the Man Lee, from G.I. Joe Classified series the Hasbro Pulse exclusive Regal variant Cobra Commander, from Star Wars The Black series the Archive Edition 501st Legion Clone Trooper, and for a 7-inch scale comparison from the Masters of the Universe Masterverse line, the 40th Anniversary He-Man. For final thoughts on the Four Horsemen Studios Mythic Legions War of the Aetherblade 2-pack of Attila Leoysser 2 and Gorgo Aetherblade 2, I'm kind of glad that I missed out on the first releases of these guys, because I think I've seen some pictures of them. I think these guys look a lot better, and they're, I guess, a little further along in their storyline. But these guys, you know, they're arch enemies. They've known each other on the battlefield. They've known each other in diplomacy, and this, so I'm saying all this, and this is my own headcanon. And Attila has found his, you know, he has his mystical weapon, that big lion-headed hammer that was used to help defeat Gorgo's master, Aether. And, you know, he's mad. He's been looking for the Aetherblade for a long time so that he can bring his master back to the mortal plane and out of banishment. At least in my headcanon, the combination of my headcanon and what I remember from the lore that I've read of in the Mythic Legions universe. So these two guys are just mortal enemies. Or Gorgo might not be mortal, I'm not sure. But either way, these guys are incredibly detailed. And that lion hammer and the lion armor that Attila has is just phenomenal. And, you know, like the rest of it looks pretty good too. It's kind of standard armor that's been, you know, put some different colors on it. And Gorgo's is the same. There's been some other guys that have had this armor, or at least pieces of it, or this mold, I guess I should say. I think the shoulder pieces, the shoulder armor, might be something new. I know they've reused that helmet a lot, but I can't blame them. It's a really cool looking helmet. And the fact that you can, you know, it's got those ports in the side that you can put different accoutrement on is fantastic. And the fact that this set comes with, I guess, 2 mystical weapons, because that piece in the middle there that Gorgo and Attila are fighting over is the Aetherblade. So it's got the Aetherblade, and it's got the Leoysser hammer, I guess it's called. It's the Leodysius hammer. That's his name, Leodysius. Hard to know that because I've got it on pre-order. So, you know, I see that as a mystical weapon. Maybe it's not in the lore, but in my headcanon, that's a mystical weapon. And it was used to help banish Aether. And probably the rest of the other 3 evil beings in the Mythic Legions lore. But, you know, the capes on these guys, I don't know, they might be a little, like, in the back, they might hang a little low, and they're both kind of like that, but it does give them room for the armor, and you don't have to peg the armor through the capes. So that's kind of a cool feature, I guess. And the fact that it's got these loops, the elastic loops that either, you know, in Gorgo's there's 2 sets, or I guess it's all the one same thing. But anyway, there's parts where it hooks onto his armor, and then, you know, he puts his arms through it as well. And then with Attila's, you know, it just kind of connects onto the shoulder pieces there by a couple of little straps, and it looks pretty cool. And they're all wired, you know, down the sides and down the bottom, so you can get very dynamic. I think it's even got wire in the top there as well, so you can get very dynamic poses with these capes. And the deco on these guys, I mean, the sculpt is great. The deco on these guys is cool. Attila has a changeable faceplate as well as an alternate head. So, you know, it's just the only thing is like, I paid probably a little bit more for this than what I could have. And then, yes, y'all can see Attila didn't like me telling you that, because he fell off. So he didn't like me telling you that. But, you know, all this gold in his armor costs extra, I guess. But, you know, I don't feel like, you know, it was a bad thing. But, yeah, I probably paid a little more than I found it. Actually, I bought it from BBTS, but I found it a few bucks cheaper on eBay, believe it or not. And I should have went ahead and got it through eBay, but I didn't. I went ahead and ordered it. It was out of stock, and then it suddenly came back in stock at BBTS, and I jumped on it because I was like, oh, what if they sell it again? And, you know, FOMO and all that good stuff. Or bad stuff, depending on how you look at it. But as far as this set goes, I am not disappointed. I think that if you're getting into Mythic Legions, these two characters are some that you really need, because they're, you know, at the time, at least at the time of war, the Aetherblade. You know, Gorgo is the guy who's trying to bring, he's the lead guy trying to bring Aether back, along with, you know, some of his other underlings. And then Attila is his arch nemesis, who rules a human kingdom. And, you know, his pretty much his god is the one that defeated Aether and banished him. And so that's, you know, these are the guys that they want revenge on. So, you know, so heads of the factions, you know, to me that seems like a no-brainer that everybody should have that. But of course, you know, I don't have all the heads of the factions because I got into it late, and I haven't even touched any of the elven peoples, or the dwarven peoples, or the goblin peoples, or the orc peoples. But you know, I'm kind of picking up stuff here and there as I like. The stuff that really is visually appealing to me. And these guys definitely fit that bill. Well, I've rambled on long enough. That does it for the review. I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed making it. Only support from viewers like you make this programming possible. Each view does count, and I do appreciate each and every single view I receive. Thank you, and thank you so very, very much for supporting this channel through viewing. If you are interested in supporting my channel further, I am now offering memberships at various tiers. Click the join button on my YouTube page, or check this video's description for the link and see if any membership offers are right for you, but only if you are in a position to do so. Comment below, like, share, subscribe if you would like to see more content, or just help the channel grow, or both. That's even better. And don't forget to ding that bell so that in the future you will be notified as my new content becomes available. That's a wrap, folks. I'll see you next time.